Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, hope you're doing well. Today we are going to have a look at another bargain car that we've taken in part exchange. Well, I say bargain car, we hope it's a bargain car. It was certainly cheap. I only paid £2,049 for this car. Bit of a weird figure, but that is because we took it in part exchange and that helped them have a round figure for their finance deal. So we rounded this up, £2,049, and they had, say, £4,700 to pay on finance then. I can't remember what we took this in part exchange for. I know, it was a Subaru XV. Toby's going to chop that together so that sounds like I'm right on the ball. He had our Subaru XV that I thought Sophie was going to have, but she decided she wasn't going to have because why buy her own car when she can drive mine all the time, you know? Anyway, I think we've done quite well out of this. It's far from perfect, but I think there's still some money to be had in it. So let's check out our £2,049 Audi A5. Doesn't look too bad for £2,000, does it? Now, as always, before we get too far into it, I am going to do my vehicle score check. I'm going to put my reg Foxtrot Golf 58 Zulu Kilo Papa. Let's get a score. It's going to tell us from 1 to 999. Ours is 587. Pretty average. Well, I can live with that, especially considering the price we paid. So let's have a look down at the score insights. Looking good. Last MOT had no comments. Recent MOT pass rate is high. Average yearly mileage is perfect. Bad bits, vehicle's over 10 years old and vehicle is over 100,000 miles. Well, as always, as we always see with these cheap cars that I buy, they're usually over 10 years old. They're usually over 100,000 miles. They do deduct that from its score. You know, you're comparing this against looking against newer cars. I don't think that's anything to hold against this car. We know it's higher mileage. We know it's over 10 years old, and that's why we've got it at a bargain price. Have a quick look at the MOT history, find out how much we've got left. So, it last passed its MOT on the 22nd of March 2023, clean MOT, no advisories on there whatsoever. That was on 103,315 miles, which means we've got MOT till what, the 21st of March 2024, which gives us around about 6 months, 5-6 months MOT. So that's pretty decent, really. I think we're probably going to sell it with the MOT that it's got, which means, you know, we probably got even more of a bargain. I'm going to have a quick look at their estimates part on here on vehicle score. It tells us the estimated value is £4,720 to £5,900. Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? I don't think that is probably going to be the case. I think we might get maybe 4,000 for this. I'm hoping that would give us a really nice little profit. Now, if you're going to go look at a car or a car that you've already got and you want to know the history of it, you can also use Vehicle Score to do a vehicle check. Their ultimate report is £8.97 and the Salvage Plus report is only £2.97, both of which will tell you whether a car's been written off or has got a shady history. And if you use the code SHIFTYMetal15, you will get 15% off. Right, so everything so far looks pretty good. Let's go around and pick it to pieces, as I always do with the cheap cars, and find out, mainly the reason we're doing this, find out if there's any work we need to do. So, this corner, I can see there's a bit of a scuff there, but that most definitely will polish out. Our headlight could probably benefit from a restoration, but will we bother? I'm not sure we will on this. Our front alloy wheel looks like it's actually in pretty good condition. I'm not going to say it's completely free of curb marks, but mainly would look much better for a clean, get that brake dust off as usual. On the front we've got an auto grip tyre, a P308 Plus. They just make these names catchier and catchier, but there is tons of tread on there. Let's say 6 mil, I reckon. Coming down the side, wing mirrors in good shape, not knocked about or whatever. I mean, the door looks a little dull, but I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I think it just needs to clean up. I think that might be to do with the contour of the door. This wheel looks really good. Again, there are a few little curb marks, but nothing crazy. We've got another A plus by the looks of it, or sorry, auto grip P308 Plus, and that again has got absolutely loads of tread. No real body defects down this size. There's some light scratches, but nothing major that won't polish out. Come around the back, we have got quite a bit of lack appeal going on there, and I think that's from where it's being reversed into something. I wonder if our parking sensors actually work, because they've got them, but they've still managed to reverse into something. Go figure. It is a 2-litre turbo, I should have said, so it's the TFSI engine. I actually quite like that engine, but some people will say they can be problematic, but I'm a fan. You get good performance and whatever out of them. They can be a bit ticky, a bit noisy, but other than that, I am a fan. Our boot lid, I think this car would just benefit from a clean. It would make it look 10 times better. I don't think this has anything to do with the paint. This is just where dust and stuff's collected and it hasn't really been cleaned. So a good decontamination, clean, maybe a wash mitt, or not a wash mitt, a clay mitt over there would get a lot of that off. I can see we've had a bit of a scuff on this side as well. So if these parking sensors work, then shame on these drivers for having hit so many things. It's taken a fairly decent one there. We could probably touch that in, make it look better, but I think a car this value, is it worth painting? Probably not. Looking at it, it looks like our bumper and the back quarter are a slightly different shade anyway. I don't think that's the case the other side. I am going to have a look. Well, if they are, this side's a much better colour match. So I reckon this person has a penchant for clipping this. Maybe they've got a low wall on their garden or something and they've bumped it, because the colour difference there is glaringly obvious. I think they've had that repaired before, and then much to someone's dismay, they've boffed it again. This near side rear wheel, again, another auto grip, so that's nice. I think we might have a full house here, and it's always nice, even if they are budget tyres, to have a full matching set. The yellow wheel looks in good condition. Again, benefit from a clean. There's a few chips and things like that, but you know, what is this? A good, ooh, what is it, Toby? 15 years old? You can't leave this in. I think I just spat on myself. That'd be very embarrassing. Don't laugh. Yeah, for the age, it's looking pretty good so far, really. This side of the car looks all right. We've got possibly one of the biggest seagull poos I've ever seen in my life dried onto the roof, but that will definitely come off. We'll try and get that off sooner rather than later before it does any damage to the paint. Looks like someone's had some kind of chemical on the door here at some point. You can see where it's got like a watermark. I don't know if perhaps someone's left a bit of TFR on there. Almost looks like there's a bit here as well. I don't think there's anything that can't be saved with a quick buff over, but it's a bit of a strange one. Sometimes you see when people take their cars to like a cheap hand car wash and they spray loads of strong chemicals over to get the car cleaned really quickly. If you leave that TFR on the car for too long and it dries in the sun, you're probably going to have paint marks on your paint that is going to be very hard to get rid of, even if you pay someone quite a lot of money to polish them out. Near side front wheel, usually the worst, and I think that probably is the case here. We've actually got quite a few decent looking chunks, and it looks like someone's done a repair there before and they've tried to sand out some curbing marks, and now there's just a bit of it missing, really. Same sort of story over here, but I don't think they've got around to sanding that down. So yeah, true to form, this is the worst wheel, near side front, usually banged into the curb. But we do have that full set of auto grip P308 pluses. Again, loads of tread. So someone, although they've, you know, they have put budget tyres on here, they've spent some money and they've done a full set at the same time, which is quite nice to see, really. Everything looks pretty good around the front. In fact, this headlight looks better than the other side. Maybe when we give this a clean, we'll get Jordan to give it a quick tickle over with a polisher, but I don't think we need to go too far. Some little dings, but on the whole, other than a little stone chip up here that has started to get some rust going on, you know, it's a pretty straight and nice car, isn't it? This car's going to look 10 times better for a clean. Let's have a quick look inside. We have got 2 keys, but I don't think one of them works. So let's try. That one does. This one doesn't. I don't know whether they both work to unlock the car. Maybe it just needs a battery. I don't know, because I've got one that works and I'm lazy, so I haven't bothered to try and change that. Inside, we've got a controversial tan leather interior. I'm actually quite a fan of that. I quite like tan leather in general. Tan leather belts, tan leather shoes, like a bit of brown. I don't know why, I prefer it to black. I think it's a bit classier in some circumstances, but you be the judge. I did put a poll of this on my Instagram stories. Did you like it? And it was just slightly leaning towards pro, the brown interior, but it was 55%, 45%. A lot of people didn't like it, so leave it. So let us know in the comments what you think. Do you approve of the tan brown interior or not? And do you follow me on Instagram? Because if you don't, you should follow, because lots of interesting things like that happen, and if you don't do it, then you are missing out. It could definitely do with a good vacuum out in here. There's bits of stuff everywhere down the sides of the seat. We've got someone's house plant in here that can probably come outside, that can live outside now. You're free. It needs a good hoover, but I don't think it's beyond salvage, this. It's not as if anything's particularly dirty or grubby or grimy. It doesn't really smell that smoky. It just wants a bit of TLC, a good hoover out, a wipe down, and it would be looking 10 times better. We have got cruise control, we've got auto lights, we've got someone else's iPhone charger lead, which doesn't really work, I'm going to be honest. I've tried using it and it doesn't, which is upsetting, but it's not unusual for a cheap iPhone lead, is it? We've got a 6-speed manual, we've got electric handbrake. I'm not a fan of them, but this isn't the worst ones that they do. But the main thing that really jumps out at you is this absolutely massive Android aftermarket head unit that's in here. If I put the key in the dash and fire it up, oh, sounded a bit lazy then. I'll let you on a trade secret. I did have to get the top don out to fire this up because it hasn't been driven for a day or two and the battery had gone flat. So shout out to Top Don for all the jump packs keeping us going. So it looks like we've got an X-Trons unit in here. How big that is, I don't know. I'm going to guess that's probably 12 inches. Yeah, about 12 inches. If you times it over by 4. Having driven this car, I know that not only does it have actually quite a nice CarPlay system, which should come up now. It is a bit wobbly, I'm going to admit, and a bit creaky, but it is quite nice and user-friendly. You can bring up maps, things like that. I better not show you that because I think that's telling me it thinks I'm going home, and that's my home address. Don't come to my house. You can do telephone calls, music, etc, etc. But when you do things like your heater controls, like I'll try and turn the fans up now, it replicates what would have been the screen in there, which is a nice touch. But I have to say that the graphics weren't the best when they were on like a little 4 or 5 inch screen. So when they've blown it up onto this mammoth 12-inch thing, they just look even more dated and crappy. But you know, they function. It's quite snappy. It's responsive. I can't really knock it. So if you are going to get an Android head unit, the X-Trons doesn't seem too bad. I'm going to have a quick look in the glove box because I know inside we've got our 2 keys, which I've got with me now, and we've got our V5. But whether we've got any service history, I don't know. I'd like to think so. I'm hoping so, that hopefully in this glove box will be some paperwork. So let's have a quick look in there. Okay, it looks like, well, we've got our Audi music interface that's just hanging out the glove box. I assume that's something to do with the head unit they fitted in. But we have got an Audi folder here where we have a service book. We've got our quick reference guide. We've got some kind of service report there. That's an individual Audi service folder with nothing in it. Audi service schedule. I'm hoping that will have some stamps in it. And it does. So, a good few stamps as well. We have got Witham Garage Limited for 1, 2, 3. Then it's gone back to Audi Manchester at 86,000 miles. Then a Halfords Auto Centre. Then back to Audi. Very strange. I reckon it must have changed owners during these times. Then it looks like the last one we got stamped in the book was M4 Smart Cars on 103,000 miles. And that was only 4 months ago at this point. I wonder if that was when it was last sold. That's interesting. And we got a bit of paper here. Chain kit and a head gasket set. So it's had a timing chain done by Calne Save on Tyres. So that's a bonus, isn't it? He's gone to Euro Car Parts. Oh no, he hasn't. For some reason, that's the invoice they're giving, is their Euro Car Parts thing, and then they've just stamped it. they've given him his receipt and then stamped it. That's a bit strange, especially as it says it's a timming chain, not a timing chain. It's a timming chain, so you better check that out and make sure that it actually is a timing chain kit and not a Timmy kit. Right. Well, that is a bonus anyway. Let's have a little look what we've got in the boot. Will it pop off the key? Yes, it does, which is a relief because it's actually, although it's a big boot, for a bigger man, it's not the most comfortable. I've been in more comfortable, I have to say. You have got plenty of rooms for your set of golf clubs, bats, whatever you use, and you can pull these little levers as well, which will fold down the seat. So you do have quite a fair bit of storage in there. Seems like we've got a rubber boot protector, which is one of my favourite things in the world. It's not very exciting, but I do love a rubber boot protector, especially as someone who owns dogs. We've still got our spare wheel in here, which is nice to see. And underneath, I imagine, will be our tools, etc. We've still got our warning triangle. Quite often these just get smashed off as soon as the first time someone uses them. They forget, then they close the boot, they get broken. So it's nice to see that's there. Some care has been taken. There's nothing in this side other than what looks like a big radio amp. In behind here is our fuse panels and things like that, and our emergency pull for the fuel cap. But nothing else hidden, unlike some cars. There's no secret treasure in here, which is a shame. Let's pop the bonnet and have a look under there and see if we can see any signs of our new timming chain. Now, I guess the best we could hope for in this scenario to see if it has had its timming chain is see if there's a sticker under here anywhere. What this has over the ML that we've done on a recent video is the bonnet strut does actually work, so it's not going to crash you on the back of the head. Jesus! Here's a trash man. Well, I can't see any obvious sign of the timing belt sticker, which pretty much every timing belt kit does come with one timing chain kit. It's not too hard to stick them somewhere. It's just an extra bit of peace of mind, isn't it? And it's not a guarantee that it's had it, but you know, people like to see it, so it's a shame they haven't done it. Interestingly though, it's definitely had some work done, because that is a pretty spanking looking alternator and belt, I'd say. If you come around here, Toby, you can see that is super shiny. How warm is our coolant? Not that warm at all. So we're going to mix it up. We're going to do the coolant first today. Yeah, that's looking lovely and very full and bang in between minimum and maximum, and still has a nice pink colour to it. Make sure we do that back up nicely. Let's have a look at our oil. That probably supports that it might well have had a timing chain and therefore oil change, because that looks really nice and clean. It's not black at all, it's still got some colour to it. So yeah, it's not looking bad actually. Someone spent a bit of money on this, so that's pretty reassuring, especially considering the price we paid for it. Let's take it out for a spin and see how it drives. One thing I can tell you for pretty much sure is this car probably needs an aircon regas at the bare minimum, because if you try and put the air conditioning on, it just turns itself off again. Which probably tells us it doesn't have any gas, therefore the compressor won't kick in. Certainly something's going on there, so apologies for the sweat. It's another warm day. Now, it's not my first time driving this. When it came in over the weekend, I did take it home for the weekend and drove it a couple of times, and there were definitely a couple of things I wanted to address, but for the life of me I can't remember what they are. Currently I can hear that the discs are kind of scuffing a little bit, but then again, if the car's not really been driven for a few days, it might have a bit of surface corrosion on them. I don't think that was one of the issues that I had. As we go over the bumps now, I'm starting to remember that the whole car just kind of like juddered a little bit. It didn't seem to matter whether the clutch was in or out. I thought it might have been a flywheel, but it doesn't seem to be affected by whether that's in or out. And I'm wondering if one or maybe both of the front shock absorbers have blown. Therefore, rather than having spring and dampening at the same time kind of working together to keep things smooth, we're just bouncing around the spring, because there's no real rhyme or reason to it. I can't say I've experienced it massively yet, but it just feels a bit bouncy on the front end. Picks up well, being the 2-litre TFSI. You get a pretty good mix of performance and MPG with these engines. They do sound good, especially with the DSG, when you get the DSG farts, things like that. Strangely, this wobble that you feel is mainly under like mild acceleration. It's just, I don't know, can you feel it, Toby? Probably not in the passenger seat. Just the fact that we're a little bit like, it shouldn't be like that really. But if you accelerate quite hard, it smooths out. Now, if it was the flywheel, you'd expect it to get it worse, or sometimes if the flywheel's out, they've got an imbalance at certain revs. It could be that it's at lower revs, but I still think it might be shock absorbers. I don't know, we'll have to get it in the workshop and get that checked out. Other than that though, the engine pulls well, sounds good, no weird noises, steering seems pretty good. Pretty sure all of our electrics work, and in fact it makes it quite a nice place to be in here with this Android head unit. The fact that you've got Bluetooth CarPlay is actually quite nice. Most cars that I've had CarPlay and you've got to plug it in, but with this system you don't. The screen is pretty much offensively large. It's way too big. It doesn't need to be that big, and in fact, depending on how you're sat in the car, the steering wheel blocks your view of some of it. It's just big for the sake of being big. I don't really think that it's absolutely necessary, especially when you've got your heating controls coming up. They just look stupid. I've had a lot of this generation of A5s in stock before, and I'm trying to think what the common issues are that I should be looking out for. And I think, if anything, it's been rear shock absorbers I've had to do more of on these. So maybe that's what it is. To me, it feels pretty planted on the back and just a bit wobbly on the front. As I say, we need to top up our air conditioning. MMI issues, things like that, aren't going to be the case here because we've got our Android head unit. Mileage is on our side really for this age, and mileage is only on 104,302 miles. That's pretty decent. The clutch feels good. You know, the other thing that makes me think it's not the flywheel. There's no flywheel noise, chatter going on. Everything just works as it should. No signs of it slipping. The gearbox feels nice and tight. It's not sloppy. It's difficult being a car trader because I can go out and do a road test on a car and think, right, there's that wrong with it, there's that wrong with it. And having a good conscience makes you want to fix it. But I guarantee 9 people out of 10 wouldn't feel a wobble on the front. They just think that's how the car drives and they wouldn't bother doing it. But it's going to bug me. I know there's something wrong somewhere and I kind of need to get to the root cause of it. Fucking meow. So other than getting to the bottom of what this wobble may or may not be, I think we've done pretty well. I can't really find anything to fault with this car. So we'll head back to the office. We'll see if we can't get this cleaned up by Jordan, see if we can get it looking a lot better. Try and figure out where the market is, how much money we think we're going to get, because I'm probably not going to do, you know, the little paint repairs and whatever. This is going to be sold as like a part X to clear, almost like a trade sale. We don't want to get involved with fixing it. I don't think the money is in fixing this car and making it a nice example. I think the money is in having bought this for the right price as a part exchange and just trying to spin it on again quickly. So let's get back, check out how much it is, see if we can't get it cleaned up, and we'll get this off to its new owner. Right, so our Audi A5, Jordan has now cleaned it up. It looks 10 times better, it actually looks surprisingly good. We have given it an aircon regas, and Steph has had it on the ramp. He's test driven it. We can't find anything wrong. We thought for a minute it might have been an engine mount, maybe, but there doesn't really seem to be any problem. So maybe we just think we're going to balance up the front wheels and hope that that's what that juddering I think I was feeling. Not that anyone else has really felt it, so strange one. But either way, at least we haven't got to spend any money on that. So our figures, we paid £2,049 for the car. My costs for a valet, I'm going to say £10. And then for the refrigerant gas for the air conditioning, I'm going to say £25. So in total, I think this car's cost me £2,084. And I reckon we can probably sell it for £4,000. So we've had a pretty good deal here. That would be a profit of £1,916. Now, some people have said, oh, well, what about adding in the labour, etc., etc. Well, obviously, I try and do these as if it was you doing it yourself, so you could get an idea of what you could make. But let's say you paid 60 quid for a valet, you paid 80 quid for your air conditioning regas, and you paid £70 for an hour worth of diagnostics to find out that there wasn't actually anything wrong with your car. It would have cost you £2,259, and your profit would be £1,741. Still not bad. But if we go back to the way that I figured it out, let's figure out what my return on investment is. I've put that into one of the many return on investment calculators that I found online, and it is 91.94% return on investment. So brilliant. I mean, I've got to sell it at that first, but it helps that this has had a recent timing chain belt, or a timming kit. I can't remember what it was. A timmy kit. It's had a service at the same time. It's got MOT left on it, and it, needed a clean up basically, and that was about it. It's got a few scuffs and things around it. That means I don't really want to retail it from here. I don't really want to get involved with getting it painted and stuff, because I know there's already a good margin in it. So we may as well just sell it cheap, get rid of it. There's no sense being greedy. Let's flip it on, and it's a good value car for someone else. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and I will see you in the next video.